Right now at 5, a plane crash in Missouri claims the life of 2 people.
We've got a pretty mild start across the area this morning. We have more scattered thunderstorms on the way as well, and hot temperatures making a return. We'll take a look at that forecast coming up.
And drivers of Joplin, rejoice. If you take West 32nd Street, then you can anticipate a section opening soon.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. So it's a little bit on the warm and muggy side again this morning, and we've got some additional thunderstorm chances in our forecast for today. So I know we have really had the business with thunderstorms the last several days across the area. The good news is, at least at this point, we're not anticipating any severe weather with our activity later today. So let's take a look down the road. As we head into the noon hour, start to see a few scattered thunderstorms. And as you can see, they're scattered. There's quite a few of them, but they are scattered as we head through the afternoon. Some of these could be on the strong side with maybe some gusty winds out there. We'll get one round through, then we'll see some additional redevelopment of some scattered thunderstorms later in the evening. And then as we go much later into the evening, into the early overnight hours, we could see another round of scattered showers and thunderstorms across the area. But the good news is at this point, not anticipating any severe weather, but a stronger storm or two with some gusty winds is possible. We are warm though, sitting at 75 out there and muggy, dew point 67, humidity 76%. As we take a look at temperatures around the area, we got 73 in Nevada, 74 Fort Scott, 76 the warm spot there in Chanute, 73 Pittsburgh, Chetopa, Miami, and 72 down in Neosho. As we get our morning started, we should see partly cloudy skies. We'll start to warm up. We'll go mid-80s by late morning. And as we head into the afternoon, that's when we'll start to see those scattered thunderstorm chances out there. We're looking at highs low, possibly mid-90s. Now, if you get under one of these thunderstorms, you could see a pretty decent but temporary temperature drop out there. And then we'll go through the evening and a few more of those scattered thunderstorms across the area, staying quite warm. We'll go roughly the lower 70s as we head into the overnight hours tonight. And as we look ahead, it's not going to be too pleasant as we look ahead. We start hitting the triple digits starting tomorrow, and that continues into Wednesday. Some hot days out there, even with cloud cover, still pretty darn toasty. And we'll see additional scattered showers and thunderstorms by Thursday and Friday, but look at that. We're looking to go back down into the upper 80s to lower 90s. And then as we head into next week, just like this week, we're going to get through a pretty decent weekend temperature-wise, maybe a few storms Sunday, and temperatures begin to soar again back into the mid to upper 90s as we head toward the middle of the next work week across the area. Well, from there, look at your forecast and have more on what you need to know with this weather and those triple-digit temperatures here in a few more minutes. Tanya?
Hard to think about drought when there's so many storm chances going on, but ranchers and farmers in the Midwest are awaiting possible aid as the region battles through one of its worst droughts. U.S. senators from Missouri have called on the Department of Agriculture to look into opening Conservation Reserve Program land for emergency haying. Oklahoma Senator Markwayne Mullin says the region's conditions resemble the drought from the Dust Bowl in the 1920s to 30s. Mullin also says the current hay yield is about 25% of what it should be, which could affect prices for cattle and other food as well. Well, severe thunderstorm warning was in effect for parts of Kansas Friday night as the National Weather Service warned of wind gusting up to 70 miles per hour and potential golf ball sized hail. Kansas Highway Patrol Trooper Todd Heilman posted this footage as a line of storms loomed over the Ellis area. "Get ready, Ellis County," he wrote on Twitter. According to the NWS, the storms lasted through the evening. Most of us experienced that too. Well, Joplin's monthly tree limb drop-off program was open to residents over the weekend following Friday night's storm. The program is available for you to drop off your limbs and branches, but must be cut to a maximum of 4 feet bundles and no heavier than 50 pounds. The disposal is open every third Friday and Saturday and is free and available for Joplin residents at 1702 North Schifferdecker Avenue. Authorities say 2 people are dead after a small plane crashes in a wooded area near the Lake of the Ozarks. And now we're hearing from the man who called 911. Marina Silva has the latest.
Can't describe the feelings in later when I realized there were people in the airplane.
David Huff was going about his day in Osage Beach yesterday about noon.
left McDonald's, got right by the airport, and I'm on a conference call in my car, and I'm watching an airplane take off, and I noticed it just didn't look right. It was very, very low because I see planes take off there all the time.
He kept watching.
And then all of a sudden it took a right-hand dive right into the trees. And it wasn't a turn, it stalled out and just went to the ground. And I screamed out, "Oh my God, it just crashed," and had to get off the call to call 911. And
He called 911, but didn't have an exact location.
they couldn't find it. They kept looking, and they kept asking me exactly where did you see it go down, and I explained to them again and I kept telling them, I apologize for all you guys being here if I didn't see what I saw.
Said he saw a plane that looked like it was going to crash and indicated that the plane was going toward Tantera or Margaritaville at the time. Several agencies come to the area and started searching for the plane and was unable to locate it for some time.
A park ranger found the wreckage.
I'm just hoping to goodness that I understand that maybe one person survived. I'm hoping they got there in time. Wish I could have had given them more information quicker so they could have found it quicker. Maybe that would have helped.
Investigators with the National Transportation Safety Board moved the wreckage to study it at another location. Well, good news for some drivers on West 32nd Street in Joplin. The city of Joplin anticipates opening a new section of West 32nd from Crane Drive West to the vicinity of Woodland Avenue. This section in the Cedar Ridge neighborhood will be open to local traffic tentatively July 24th. The project began more than 2 years ago, initially closing West 32nd from Schifferdecker to Iron Gates Road. The hope is the entire project will be completed by the end of the year. And authorities respond to an early Sunday morning fire in Bentonville, Arkansas. Reports of a commercial fire came into the Bentonville Fire Department around 6 a.m. Sunday morning. The commercial building is home to numerous small businesses, including a salon and spa, counseling services, and others. A city spokesman says the fire was in the attic on arrival. No occupants or firefighters were injured. And an enthusiastic citizen in Tulsa, Oklahoma stops his truck and tackles a suspect who was running away from officers last Thursday. That's according to the local authorities. This footage released by police shows officers chasing the runaway suspect down a sidewalk when a man wearing an orange t-shirt jumps out of his truck and tackles the man. The suspect was arrested for resisting arrest and other pre-existing felony warrants. Professional soccer will soon take the field in Northwest Arkansas. The United Soccer League announced it plans to bring professional men's and women's soccer clubs to Northwest Arkansas as the region's first professional teams. The partnership plans to build a 5,000-plus seat multi-purpose stadium nestled in the heart of the Pinnacle Hills Entertainment District in Rogers, Arkansas. USL Arkansas's goal is to begin play in the USL Championship prior to the 2026 FIFA World Cup, which kicks off in the United States, and in the fall that same year for the USL Super League. The teams have not been named yet. And police in Galena, Kansas arrest a man who they say was cutting wire from telephone poles. It happened Friday. Authorities say they received tips from residents and found the suspect's vehicle near 21st and State Line Road. When officers pulled the vehicle over, they found wire and cutting tools inside, as well as drugs and drug paraphernalia. They also arrested the driver, 28-year-old Dakota Beck. He's being held on charges of theft from a utility company and criminal damage of property. Let's look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, members of the Midwest Mustangs look to play together one last time before going their separate ways. Plus, with the heat and everything else going on, we want to know, how are you staying safe this summer? And did you know that 1/3 of normal weight people could actually be obese? You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
AMD and notice vision changes? Don't wait. GA is irreversible. It's important to catch it early. Talk to your eye doctor about GA and learn more at GAWon'tWait.com.
Well, the Midwest Mustangs are a baseball team full of some of the best high school players in the Southwest Missouri and Southeast Kansas area. These guys are playing their final tournament together before they all go their separate ways to college, and they want to make sure they make it count in the end. Rise and shine! The Mustangs took the field 9 a.m. yesterday, going against the 417 Mets. We're going to pick things up in the bottom of the second inning. No score. Girard's Alex Kester hammers this ball in the gap. Falls down for a hit. Colt Ungerauer scores. Kester turns it into an RBI triple. 1-0 Mustangs. On the mound, Webb City's Kaylor Darnell, who gets the hitter looking in the third. Then we go to the fourth. Swing and a miss. Then in the fifth, caught looking again. Darnell pitches 5 innings and only giving up 2 earned runs. Bottom of the fifth now, 3-2 Mustangs. Webb City's Sean Hunt provides some insurance here. That ball is belted and rolls up the hill in right field. 2 runs managed to score, and it's a 2-run double for Hunt. Mustangs go on to win this game 6-3. Mustangs went on to win the next game 10-2 to win the tournament, as this group of players has finished their last game all together on a high note.
So, I mean, I was going into the tournament, kind of got some bad luck with it, hit the ball hard, just right at people. So today, first 2 at-bats, got kind of rough luck, but coming into that last at-bat, I knew I needed to do a job and got it done with a double. So it's been amazing. I mean, Kaylor, Sidewalker, I've spent a whole spring with them and everything. Coach Myers has been great for me, getting me looks and stuff. Been a great team, great relationship with these guys, obviously, and looks to keep.
Well, the bad news for the Nevada Griffins is they're tied for last place in the Mink League South. The good news is they're still only a few games behind first place. The Griffins have not played a full game since Thursday, as Nevada is out on their final set of road games this season. In game 1 of the doubleheader, the Griffins fought really hard. However, they were 1 run short. Chillicothe's pitching holds on for the final 2 innings. The Mudcats come out victorious by beating the Nevada Griffins 5-4. So in game 2 of the doubleheader, the Griffins lose in a heartbreaking fashion. Nevada was down 4-1 at one point, and the Griffins come back to regain the lead, but Chillicothe walks it off and beat Nevada 6-5. However, Ryan Davis goes 2 for 4 with a triple and 4 RBIs. Well, still to come, Japan attempts to test a rocket, and, well, it doesn't go how they'd like it to go. Plus, we're having another check of that forecast, the hot weather, and those scattered storms when the KOAM Morning News returns. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 5:17 now on this Monday morning. We've got the possibility of some scattered thunderstorms as we head into the afternoon. Here's a few of them by noon. You can see there's some good storms out there, but they are still scattered. Not everybody getting in on the rain. However, we will get these scattered storms through the afternoon, into the evening, and even into the overnight hours. Some of these could be a little bit on the strong side with gusty winds out there, but the good news is at this point, we're not anticipating any widespread severe weather or anything like we've seen the last couple of days here, especially last week. These scattered storms again could continue into the overnight hours, and then they should be completely out of here by about 3-4 o'clock tomorrow morning. As of right now, though, MoDOT camera 20th and range line, we are calm, we are looking good, and we are warm. Same from the KDOT camera at 69 and East 520th Avenue this morning. And from our camera at 7th and range line, still dark out there. Eventually, we'll see some sunshine. We are at 75 in Joplin, so a pretty warm start for us. 67 dew point, humidity 76, so it's a bit muggy out there as well. Warm across the area. We got 73s, Nevada, Fort Scott, 74, Carthage, Lamar, Pittsburgh, 75 in Chanute, 73, Parsons, Chatopa, Miami, and 71s in Neosho and Monette. As we get our morning started, we'll have those partly cloudy skies. Initially, we'll go into the mid-80s, and we'll see clouds begin to fluctuate. So we'll go from partly to mostly cloudy, kind of variable out there. And that's when we'll start to see those scattered thunderstorm chances build in. Highs today, low, possibly mid-90s. And again, if you get underneath one of those thunderstorms, you will get a brief but nice drop in temperatures before, of course, it'll turn around and warm back up on you. We'll see scattered storms continuing through the evening and again into the early overnight hours and staying mild, dropping back into the lower 70s. We go hot tomorrow and Wednesday, start to see those triple-digit temperatures return despite some cloud cover across the area. Then we'll see another little system come in, and it's enough to bring us some scattered thunderstorms, but more so, it's a little more helpful, is it will drop our temperatures at least briefly back into the upper 80s, lower lower 90s. And then as we head into the next work week, unfortunately, summer makes another return for us, and temperatures begin to increase back into the mid to upper 90s across the area. Well, if it's beautiful outside where you live, count yourself lucky. Many Americans, including us here in the 4 states, have been coping with severe weather across over the past several days, as Amy Kiley reports.
I thought Hurricane Ida was the benchmark. This is the new benchmark.
Severe weather continues to plague the U.S. today. Flood conditions are pushing farther northeast, including through New Hampshire and Vermont, where some are still reeling from earlier storms.
Been going out for many hours every day, doing a lot of crying, bucking up, getting back into it.
Meanwhile, several are dead after weekend floods north of Philadelphia.
The mother and the 2 children were swept away by the floodwaters.
It's just a devastating blow to this Bucks County community.
In the north, tens of millions of Americans face air quality alerts. They're due to ongoing wildfires in Canada that officials say claimed the life of a firefighter over the weekend. Extreme heat is the concern in much of the west and south.
Just walk outside for a bit, get too hot, go in, cool down, and repeat.
Experts say the U.S. could have more than 100 new temperature records set by the end of today.
Feels like you're actually on fire after you're out here for a while. I'm not used to burning myself on concrete.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
That brings us to our question for you this morning. How are you staying safe this summer? Are you hydrating, swimming, staying indoors, going to cooling centers? Maybe some of those things, perhaps all of those things, or maybe something not on our list. We want to hear from you. Make sure you take time to vote through KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. You can also do so in our app and, of course, take part in the discussion on our Facebook page. We will be back with Health Watch right after this.
Tax credits and savings. GoPascal.com.
Topping Health Watch this morning, a new study says those who are defined to be a normal weight might actually be considered obese. Researchers from Tel Aviv University analyzed 3,000 study participants and found that about 1/3 were in normal weight ranges according to their body mass index scores, but about 39% of women and 27% of men were actually obese with normal weight. That's according to their body fat percentage. Scientists say body fat percentage is a better way to measure obesity than BMI, and that health clinics should have devices to measure it. Want to lift to your strength? If you like weightlifting, lots or little will work fine. A new study says if you want more strength, lifting heavy or lifting light does not really matter. What does matter is the number of repetitions you do and being consistent with it. Researchers reviewed 192 studies focusing on variables such as how much participants lift, how often, and how many times per week. Researchers found lifting heavy weights is best for strength, but for maximizing muscle size, the number of repetitions is more important. And a new study says exposures to some types of metal pollution in our food is raising risk for some health conditions. Analysis by researchers at Mount Sinai Medical Center in Miami Beach show toxic levels to even some low levels of metals like lead, cadmium, and arsenic. They're causing higher risk for strokes and heart attacks. The study found contaminants are entering foods and drinks like juices and milk and can remain in bones and organs for decades. The scientists say what's needed are more environmental and biomonitoring of the contaminants, as well as controlling exposure and creating more clinical interventions. Americans are facing a lot of challenges in their search for quality health care. Among the issues they're facing, longer wait times to get a doctor's appointment. Alicia Acuna takes a look.
It's terrifying because you know, okay, I have to get this done today and this done tomorrow, and I don't have time for this, and I don't want to be in pain anymore.
Heather Gregg has suffered from debilitating migraines for more than 2 decades. Lately, they've gotten worse. Some hit so hard, they interrupt the Denver mother's work and time with her young daughter.
There's a lot of guilt associated with that.
When she was referred to a neurologist in June, the first available in-person appointment was November, a 5-month wait.
I was shocked.
According to a survey by AMN Healthcare and Merritt Hawkins, in 2022, the average wait time for a new patient appointment in 15 major U.S. cities was 26 days, up 5 days from 2004. The numbers get worse for certain specialties. For an OBGYN, the average wait is 31.4 days, a 19% increase from 2017. Cardiology wait times are up 26%, and orthopedic surgery 48%.
We have arrived at a point in time where demand for physicians is rapidly exceeding supply.
The reasons for that vary, including an aging population, delayed appointments during the pandemic, population growth, and physician burnout is now adding to pre-COVID staffing shortages as more doctors retire.
Another factor is the rate of poor health within this country, as 6 in 10 adults in the U.S. have at least one chronic condition.
So what to do?
You're just going to have to really get in line.
Urgent care centers are absorbing many primary care patients, but there's no guarantee you will see an MD at one, but rather a nurse practitioner or physician's assistant.
Because a lot of times in those retail clinic settings and those urgent care settings, those allied professionals are usually the ones that are going to be on the front line seeing patients.
Another option is telehealth, which Greg opted for, but that only shortened her wait time from 5 months to 3.
I was like, oh, okay, so I just get to suffer in pain for this much longer.
The survey was done in areas with higher concentrations of doctors, which means the situation is even worse in more rural locations. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Yeah, we've got a warm and muggy start across the 4 states ahead of some scattered thunderstorm chances throughout our Monday. We'll take a look at that forecast when we come back.
Right now at 5:30, the National Weather Service confirms a tornado touches down in Arkansas.
We've got ourselves a muggy start to our Monday. We've got thunderstorm chances today and hot temperatures on the way tomorrow. We'll look at that forecast coming up.
And Kansas City University in Joplin holds its annual white coating ceremony at Joplin High School's Performing Arts Center.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:31. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. So it's a bit on the warm and muggy side again across the area on our Monday morning. And that, of course, means we've got the possibility for some additional showers and thunderstorms as we head into the afternoon. So let's take a look at what we're expecting as we head toward the noon hour. There you can see a few of these scattered thunderstorms. We'll see a few more of them as we head later into the afternoon. Some of these could be on the strong side. We're talking maybe some gusty winds. Not like we need any more of that. But the good news is at this point, we're not anticipating any widespread severe weather across the area, but again, a stray strong storm or two possible. We'll go through the afternoon, see these scattered storms. We'll get one batch out of here, and we'll see some additional development of scattered storms as we go later into the evening and even into the early overnight hours. Could still see a few scattered storms, say as late as maybe 2, 3 o'clock in the morning before they do eventually clear on out of here, and unfortunately are going to leave us very hot as we head through the next couple of days. MoDOT camera 20th and range line, we're looking good so far. Same from the KDOT camera right there at 69 and East 520th Avenue, just south of Pittsburgh. And our camera at 7th and range line, starting to see a little more light out there. We got some partly cloudy skies, 75, so quite warm and quite muggy. Dew point, humidity both up there. And it is, again, warm and muggy across the entire area. You got 74 Nevada, Lamar, Pittsburgh, Carthage, 73 Fort Scott, 72 Neodesha, Yates Center, Iola, 73 in Parsons, 74 Chautauqua and Miami. As we get our morning started, we should be partly cloudy through the early morning and into the late morning hours and warm mid-80s later this morning. And as we head into the afternoon, we'll be between partly to mostly cloudy skies, especially depending on how close you are or if whether or not you're under one of these scattered thunderstorms later. If you get under one of them, you'll see a very nice but brief drop in temperatures. We're looking at highs today, low to mid-90s across the area. Outside of that, more scattered storms as we head into the evening hours. Overnight lows down into the lower 70s. We'll go partly cloudy once the last batch of scattered storms gets out of here. And then, yeah, it's summertime. It's July, and we've got 2 days at least of triple-digit heat across the area. Not like we want it, but there it is, and it's going to happen. And then The good news is we get more scattered storm chances by Thursday, Friday, and temperatures begin to drop back down a bit, back through the lower 90s, upper 80s, leaving us with a relatively decent, it's still warm Saturday, but not bad, and a few additional scattered storms as we head into our Sunday. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, the National Weather Service confirms a tornado hit Mansfield, Arkansas Friday morning. The survey team rated the tornado an EF1. Brett Rains spoke to one of the families impacted.
You can see shingles from the shed inside my bed.
The EF1 tornado that hit Mansfield early Friday morning sent sheet metal and debris flying into Harley Green's bedroom.
My walls caved up in at 4 a.m. this morning when I was asleep. All this fell on top of me. Walls caved up in.
With damage and destruction all around him, Green says.
Yeah, very close call. I'm all right. I just don't know what's going to happen next. I don't really have tools for my business, don't have a place to go or anything.
I'm glad we got out when we did and realized and got out.
Sarah Crabtree was sleeping in the living room. Glass shards covered the couch where she was laying.
By the time I rolled over, that's when the glass started breaking and coming through. So I rolled over into a ball, so as much of it wouldn't hit me.
At first, she thought it was a bad dream, and when she opened her eyes,
I saw what my phone light could allow me to see, and it was that was missing, and that the window and everything was missing, and that there was some damage done in his room. We also had a 2x4 come through our ceiling. I lived in Oklahoma for 15 years. Never once was in a tornado, and I moved back here after not living here for 5 years, and in an F1 tornado, and it's kind of scary, definitely is.
the tornado toppled trees and downed power lines in nearby neighborhoods. A crane was called in to lift the tree off this house in Mansfield. Neighbors say the man who lives here was not injured. Sebastian County search and rescue teams went door to door assessing the damage and making sure everyone was okay. And for Sierra and Harley, fortunately, they're all right, but their home is destroyed.
This was our last place where we're going to move into, and then we lost everything.
All right, well, Create and Sip in Joplin put on an event for those in the area to express their creativity by painting rocks. John Coleman, owner of Create and Sip, says it's a fun way for anyone to paint and create. After the rocks were done, patrons could either hold on to their creation or add it to the rock population of Joplin.
But you know, anything can be utilized as for making art. And I tell a lot of people too, with even using your paintbrush, the wrong end of the brush can still be used to make a mark. So if it can make a mark, and if you can make a mark on it, you can turn it into art.
And you can follow Create and Sip on Facebook. Just look on their website for all of their upcoming events. The VA clinic in Joplin hosts a PACT ACT outreach program to raise awareness for veterans to apply for benefits that have been created due to the act. The PACT ACT creates benefits for veterans involved in the Vietnam, Gulf, and Afghanistan wars. Those who've been affected medically by toxic chemicals used in these wars should sign up and apply to be screened. Kansas City University holds its annual white coating ceremony at Joplin High Performing Arts Center for students who will begin at KCU this year. The white coating ceremony is their first step to becoming a doctor. Students all across the world will be attending KCU, as well as students from right here in the 4 states.
Man, I mean, I have pictures. My parents have pictures from like Christmas as like an 8-year-old with me in like a little white coat and a stethoscope with a little heart on it. So like almost for as long as I can remember.
Brooklyn and her fellow students will graduate in 2027. Well, Southeast Kansas Humane Society puts on a fun day of tie-dye, and those who wish to participate donated $5 and then were provided with a bandana for the special dog in their life that they then tie-dyed. For those interested in more events going on at the Humane Society, be sure to follow them on Facebook and check their website for more events. Well, this morning we're discussing extreme weather, but mostly extreme heat.
Yeah, severe weather continues to plague the U.S. today. Flooding conditions pushing further northeast, including through New Hampshire and Vermont, where some areas are still reeling from earlier storms. Meanwhile, several are dead after weekend floods just north of Philadelphia.
In the north, tens of millions of Americans face air quality alerts. They're due to ongoing wildfires in Canada that officials say claimed the life of a firefighter over the weekend. Extreme heat is the concern in much of the west and south. Experts say the U.S. could have more than 100 new temperature records set by the end of today.
That brings us to our question for you this morning. How are you staying safe this summer? You've got a number of different options there. 72% of you, those so far, are doing what I'm trying to do. You're staying indoors. Another 14% of you say that you're hydrating, and another 14% of you say that you are doing something that isn't necessarily on our list. So make sure you take time to vote through our website, through our app, take part in discussion on our Facebook page, and of course stay safe. As we just mentioned, we have triple-digit temperatures returning to our area by tomorrow.
All right, well, that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News. Might not be your first choice, but for some kids, going to a camp to learn about caring for those who have passed is something that sparks their interest.
Plus, India plans to shoot for the stars as they take on a challenge to go to space. We'll have the latest.
You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Topping World Watch, the death toll from heavy flooding and landslides as a result of rains has risen to at least 40 in South Africa. That's South Korea, excuse me. That's according to the country's Ministry of Interior and Safety, who confirmed the number today. At least 9 people in the meantime remain missing across the country. Roads, houses, and fields were among areas that have been heavily affected by either flooding or landslides. More than 10,000 people across South Korea were evacuated from their homes because of the adverse events. South Korea's president pledges $150 million to support Ukraine during a visit to the war-torn region. President Yoon Suk-yeol and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky held a bilateral meeting in Kyiv on Saturday. Along with the massive financial promise, Yoon vowed to expand the scale of humanitarian and non-lethal military assistance to Ukraine. South Korea has faced renewed pressure to provide weapons to Ukraine, but is sticking by its longtime policy of not supplying arms to countries actively engaged in conflict. Well, the World Cycling Governing Body has issued an important ruling concerning transgender athletes. The International Cycling Union has decided to ban female transgender athletes from women's events. The decision applies to female transgender competitors who changed genders after undergoing puberty as a male. And they're now barred from participating in women's events on the UCI international calendar in all categories in the various disciplines. The UCI says the ban, which goes into effect today, was necessary to ensure equal opportunities. Well, a rocket explodes at Japan's space agency. The rocket was undergoing testing when it exploded. The Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency confirmed. There are no reports of injuries, and the cause of the explosion is currently under investigation. This is a major setback for the space agency, which has ambitions to enter into the small satellites market. And India has successfully launched its third mission to the moon. The probe took off early Friday morning. This is India's second try at a soft landing after an attempt in 2019 failed. If all goes according to plan, on August 23rd, it will be the 4th country to land on the moon, and it would be the first to do so on the moon's unexplored South Pole. That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. Coming up on 5:47 now on this Monday morning. We've got some scattered thunderstorm chances as we head into the afternoon. And here we are at about noon. Start to see a few of those, and then we'll see a few more as we go further into the afternoon. Now, some of the storms through today and into the evening could be a bit on the strong side with some gusty winds possible. But the good news is at this time we're not anticipating any widespread severe weather. So that is some really good news. And the other good news is, at least in terms of that severe threat, is these storms are going to be widely scattered. So that's very helpful as well. I know we need the rain. We just don't need any more severe weather. Here we are about 3 o'clock. You see these thunderstorms continuing to roll on through the area. By 4, they're starting to push just to the east of I-49 and then extending back down into parts of northwest Arkansas. We'll get another round of little scattered storms out there as we head later into the evening across the area. Then we'll see a brief lull in activity before we see additional scattered showers and thunderstorms later in the evening, and then eventually into the early overnight hours. But by roughly 2-3 a.m., the last remaining scattered storms should be out of our area as we head into our Tuesday, and that is unfortunately going to leave us with a very unpleasant Tuesday and Wednesday. All right, MoDOT camera, 20th and Range Line, starting to get a little more daylight out there. Looking great so far. Same from the KDOT camera at 69 and East 520th Avenue, just south of Pittsburgh. And our camera at 7th and Range Line, we got a few clouds out there. Otherwise, not bad, but warm and muggy for sure. 75. Dew point's at 67, humidity is at 76%. And as we look at temperatures around the region, it is a pretty warm start for most of us. A little cooler, Iola at 71, 72 Yates Center, Neodesha, Independence, 73 in Parsons, a group of 74s, Fort Scott, Nevada, Lamar, Pittsburgh, Carthage, as well as Chatopa, Miami, and 70 in Neosho, 69 in Monad, so a little bit cooler down to the south. As we get our morning started, though, that cool weather does not last. We will go partly cloudy through the morning and go into the mid-80s by late morning. We've got highs today pushing low to mid-90s, and we'll have variable clouds between partly to mostly cloudy across the area. Then, if you get into one of those thunderstorms, you will experience a nice but relatively brief drop in temperatures before they'll turn around and warm right back up. That's the problem with scattered storms, though, is once it rolls through, the heat's right there on the other side just waiting to come back in. We'll hang on to scattered storm chances through the evening, early overnight hours, going to the low 70s. After the last of the scattered storms moves out overnight tonight, we should just be partly cloudy as we head into the beginning of our Tuesday. Unfortunately for our Tuesday, we hold on to those partly cloudy skies, and we see temperatures pushing into the triple digits, and that process expected to repeat on Wednesday, even with a few more clouds out there, still hot. And check out the low Tuesday into Wednesday. We're talking right around 80 degrees. So you will get almost no relief from the heat as we go into the evening and overnight hours. Same on Wednesday night, though, still back up into the upper 70s potentially. We have scattered thunderstorm chances Thursday and Friday, but the good news is this does kick our temperatures down a bit. We'll go back into the upper 80s and lower 90s across the area. A pretty decent Saturday for us. Yeah, I mean, I know 89 is definitely warm. It's not cool, but it certainly beats 100 degrees. We'll have partly cloudy skies, a little warmer on Sunday, low 90s, a few more scattered storms. And once we get through that, unfortunately, we head into the next work week and temperatures really begin to warm up once again. As summer says, hey, it's still summer across the area. And we go back into the mid to upper 90s. We'll be back with more of the KOAM morning news right after this.
Students at a camp in Memphis are learning all there is to know about funeral and mortuary services. Carolyn Serta has the story.
It's a summer camp unlike any other, teaching kids about the possibility of a career in afterlife care.
And then get your spatula and start smoothing over it.
Applying foundation after filling in lacerations to a face.
And make sure you fill it in on all sides.
It's a skill teens like Madison Murdette are learning at the Funeral Services Education Camp in Memphis.
I would like to be a licensed mortician and then hopefully own my own business one day.
The recent high school grad has been attending the camp since she was 13, when her interest was piqued at a funeral.
I started talking to the funeral directors there, and they started telling me all these things. I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, I'd want to do that.
It's that same curiosity that eventually led Dana Taylor and Madeline Lyles to open Afterlife Funeral Services. In 2019, they created this camp for teens, the only one of its kind.
We were both very young when we became interested in funeral service, so we saw this as an opportunity that we didn't have when we were coming up. They get to experience cremations, they get to experience the activity of restorative art. They get to learn about forensic science and homicide investigation. They're learning how to prepare, how to plan funerals. They aren't squeamish individuals, so that's really good to know.
The body is now under the care of the medical examiner's office.
The teens learn directly from medical examiners, professors at Mid-South colleges, and other professionals. And they visit cemeteries and funeral homes to get hands-on experience. Davin Green is among those who say their interest has blossomed from a camp to a budding career.
When I get older, I want to open a funeral home and be a licensed funeral director and mortician and have a florist on site, so I can kind of do it all. People call it one-stop shop.
Mel and Dana has definitely inspired me to go on more with my career and keep on with it.
Burdette heads to college this fall, where she'll continue studying funeral services and mortuary sciences.
She's been attending that camp since she was 13. That's impressive. Very impressive. Wish her the best. We'll be right back.
And all brands of openers. Call or stop by today.
On July 17th, 1955, Disneyland, Walt Disney's amusement park of fantasy and futurism, opened to the public. The $17 million theme park was built on 160 acres of former orange groves in Anaheim, California, and soon brought in staggering profits. Today, Disneyland hosts more than 18 million visitors every year. Well, this might put a smile on your face. Here are this year's finalists for the comedy Pet Photos. We've got a cat performing his best victory pose. I love it. A dog leaping through the air, another dog jumping headfirst into the sand, and a cat sticking out his tongue. Let's see that one. The 24 finalists will be judged by a panel of expert animal lovers. The winner will be announced on August 11th.
Now we've got ourselves a muggy start to our Monday. We will have partly cloudy skies going through the morning, making it up to the mid-80s. As we head into the afternoon, we'll go low to mid-90s and we'll be between partly to mostly cloudy skies as we get scattered thunderstorms working through the area. If you get under one of those storms, you may experience a nice but brief temperature drop before it will warm up right on the other side of that activity. Scattered thunderstorms continue as we go through the evening and into the early overnight. A couple of these could be on the stronger side with some gusty winds, but the good news is, as of right now, we're not anticipating any severe weather across the area. We're going to go back into the low 70s overnight, and once the last of the storms gets out of here, say about 2-3 a.m., we'll go partly cloudy. Unfortunately, it also sets the stage for very hot temperatures. We go triple digits tomorrow and Wednesday with some clouds out there. Then we get additional storms Thursday and Friday, and that helps kicks our temperatures back down into the upper 80s, lower 90s. A nice Saturday for us with more scattered storms possible on Sunday. That's Check Your Forecast. We will be back with another hour of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Purchase a brick today and be a permanent.
Right now at 6, the summer of severe weather continues as a weekend storm slammed the Sunflower State with high winds and golf ball-sized hail.
Thankfully, nothing like that in our immediate forecast, but we do have some scattered storms for us today, and hot temperatures return tomorrow. We'll take a look at that forecast coming up.
And the 4 states gets to experience both ends of the extreme weather spectrum as lawmakers look for relief for their states during one of the worst droughts on record.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. It's just after 6 a.m. now on this Monday morning, and it is warm. It is muggy. That is ahead of much warmer temperatures that are on the way and some scattered storms that are on the way as we head into this afternoon. So as we go later to the day, here we are at noon, and there you can see a couple of scattered storms north of Chanute in our northern counties there. We'll get a few more of these scattered storms, though, as we proceed into the afternoon hours. Now, some of these could be on the slightly strong side with some gusty winds. We're not anticipating any widespread or significant severe weather like we saw last week, but some gusty winds with these storms will be possible as we go through the afternoon. Here we are by 3, by 4. We still have a few scattered storms out there, and then we'll get another little round of scattered storms later in the evening, and we'll see a little lull. And then we'll see additional scattered thunderstorm development as we head later into the evening and into early tomorrow morning across the area. And these should wrap up by about 2-3 o'clock in the morning. And unfortunately, that's going to lead to a very hot day across the area tomorrow. MoDOT camera 20th and range line, getting a little more daylight, looking good, and some sunshine starting to pop up here at the 69 and East 520th Avenue KDOT camera. And there is a little bit of that light out there starting to show off in the horizon. We got partly cloudy skies, 75 in Joplin, but muggy, 68 on the dew point, 79% humidity out there. So take a look around the area, 74 Nevada, Lamar, Pittsburgh, Carthage, Parsons, Chanute, Chatopa, Miami, And Fort Scott, 71, Iola Yates Center, 70, Neosho, 69 in Monette. Again, as we get our morning started, we're going to be partly cloudy. We're going to warm up quickly into the mid-80s today. And despite the scattered storm chances, highs today still going low, maybe mid-90s out there under partly cloudy skies to mostly cloudy skies outside of those thunderstorm chances. We'll have another look at your forecast the week ahead and those hot temperatures here in a few more minutes. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. Police in Galena, Kansas arrest a man who they say cut wire from telephone poles. Authorities say they received tips from residents and found the suspect's vehicle near 21st and State Line Road. When officers pulled the vehicle over, they found wire and cutting tools inside, as well as drugs and drug paraphernalia. They also arrested the driver, 28-year-old Dakota Beck. He's being held on charges of theft from a utility company and criminal damage to property. An Oklahoma man takes citizens' arrest to a different new level. An enthusiastic citizen in Tulsa, Oklahoma, stopped his truck and tackled a suspect who was running away from officers last Thursday. That's according to the local authorities. This footage released by police shows officers chasing the runaway suspect down a sidewalk when a man wearing an orange t-shirt jumps out of his truck and tackles the man. Suspect was arrested for resisting arrest and other pre-existing felony warrants. Ranchers and farmers in the Midwest await possible aid as the region battles through one of its worst droughts. U.S. senators from Missouri have called on the Department of Agriculture to look into opening Conservation Reserve Program land for emergency haying. Oklahoma Senator Mark Wayne Mullin says the region's conditions resemble the drought from the Dust Bowl in the 1920s to the 30s. Mullen also says the current hay yield is about 25% of what it should be, which could affect prices for cattle and other food as well. Well, Mother Nature once again reminds the 4 states over the weekend this is severe weather season. A severe thunderstorm warning went into effect for parts of Kansas Friday night as the National Weather Service warned of winds gusting up to 70 miles per hour and potential golf ball-sized hail. Kansas Highway Patrol Trooper Todd Heilman posted this footage as a line of storms loomed over the Ellis area. "Get ready, Ellis County," he wrote on Twitter. According to the NWS, the storms lasted through the evening. Well, extreme weather is hitting the country from coast to coast, and severe heat is gripping parts of the South as near record temperatures. While rain out of the west claims the lives of 5 people, with 2 children still missing after a flash flood in Pennsylvania. Jared Hill has more.
It's the hottest selfie on planet Earth.
It's overwhelmingly hot.
A sizzling 127 degrees in the appropriately named town of Furnace Creek in California's Death Valley. The brutal temperatures here come as about a third of the country is under some type of heat advisory, watch, or warning. Families in Phoenix, Arizona hit the water park to cool off Sunday. The city hitting its 17th consecutive day of temperatures above 110 degrees.
It is really a hard time of year to live in Arizona.
While the west and south bake under a heat dome, torrential rain in the northeast triggered devastating floodwaters. Flash flooding in Pennsylvania killed 5 people, among them members of a family visiting from South Carolina. Their 9-month-old boy and 2-year-old girl are still missing.
We continue to look for the 2 children. We are not going to give up regardless.
Heavy rain and flooding ate away at this road in Hillsborough, New Hampshire, a similar scene in Massachusetts.
And I'm sure, like, when you're home and you see this stuff happen to other people on the news, do you ever think it's going to happen to you?
As temperatures climb from Florida to California, doctors are warning not just about the air, but surfaces. From the ground and your pet's paws to your kid's playground.
Temperatures between 140 and 160, which would be just a couple of seconds, will cause deep injuries to a small hand.
Caution with more blistering heat in the forecast. Jared Hill, CBS News.
For nearly all of July, the world has been in uncharted hot territory. That's according to experts at the University of Maine. This June was also the hottest June on record, and that's according to several weather agencies. And scientists say 2023 could be the hottest year since they started keeping track in the middle of the 19th century. Well, don't forget, you can be the first to know about the day's weather with the KOAM Skywatch weather app. Get severe weather updates sent straight to your phone free of charge. It's available in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. That's the KOAM Skywatch weather app. Well, Create in Sip in Joplin hosted an event for those in the area to express their creativity by painting rocks. John Coleman, owner of Create and Sip, says it's a fun way for anyone to paint and create. After the rocks were done, patrons could either hold on to their creation or add it to the rock population of Joplin.
But anything can be utilized as for making art. And I tell a lot of people too, with even using your paintbrush, the wrong end of the brush can still be used to make a mark. So if it can make a mark, and if you can make a mark on it, you can turn it into art.
You can follow Create and Sip on Facebook and check their website for all of their upcoming events. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, master baker Lori Horton hits the studio in just a few minutes with a recipe for a strawberry crunch cake. You don't want to miss this one. There she is. Plus, some have called it a wonder drug, while others blame it for everything from addiction to death. We take a closer look at the kratom controversy. And Chris returns with another look at your Monday forecast and if the 4 states can expect yet another round of storms to make their way across the region. You're watching the KOAM Morning News, more real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
$29 a month and no money down with up to $2,000 in tax credits and savings. GoPascal.com.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. We have got scattered thunderstorms as a possibility as we head into this afternoon. Here we are about noon. We see a few of them out there. Then as we go later to the afternoon, here we are at 2. We see a few more of these scattered storms. Now, we have been mentioning there's the possibility that we could see a stray strong storm or two with some gusty winds out there. The good news is at this time, we're not anticipating any widespread or significant severe weather like we saw last week across the area, but still a stronger storm or two is possible as we go into the afternoon hours. This batch continues to move off to the south and east. Here we are at 3 o'clock as it approaches the I-49 corridor. By 4, it is starting to switch to the other side of the I-49 corridor. And that's leaving room for some additional development to take place. Now, again, these storms are isolated to scattered, so not everybody's going to get rain. Those that do might see a nice little temperature drop, albeit brief. Those that don't, it's not going to drop that much. And if you get storms early, then that just means you've got more room to warm up even more as we head into the afternoon. By 8, there's a brief lull in activity, a few stray storms in our northern counties, but then we'll see additional development take place. Here we are about 10 o'clock, and that will continue through the area and last until about 2, maybe 3 a.m. before it exits the area and leaves us partly cloudy overnight tonight. All right, MoDOT camera, 20th and range line. We can see some daylight out there. We've got daylight on the KDOT camera at US 69 and East 520th Avenue. That, of course, just south of Pittsburgh. And from our camera, 7th and range line, looking back off roughly to the northeast, getting a little more daylight as well. We're partly cloudy, 75, so we're warm and we're muggy. Dew point is 68, humidity 79%, helping to set the stage for some of those scattered storms later today. Warm across the area for the most part. Some cool spots, Monette, Cassville, both at 69, 70 in Neosho, a lot of 74s. Carthage, Lamar, Nevada, Fort Scott, Pittsburgh, Parsons, Chautauqua, Miami, Chanute, all at 74. 72, Neodesha, Independence, 71 in Iola and Yates Center. Now, as we get our morning started, we will be partly cloudy. We'll go into the mid-80s by late morning, and then heading into the afternoon, we'll be variable between partly to mostly cloudy skies, again, depending on where you are, how close you are to storms, and, of course, whether or not you actually see a storm. Those scattered storm chances out there will continue, and as mentioned, if you get underneath one of them, you could see a very nice, albeit brief, temperature drop before it warms back up on the other side. We'll go into the evening. We'll see those additional scattered storms across the area. Again, those continue into the early overnight hours before they clear out. We will go low 70s tonight and eventually be partly cloudy, and that unfortunately sets the stage for some unpleasant temperatures the next couple of days. We're talking triple digits Tuesday and Wednesday. Partly cloudy Tuesday, mostly cloudy Wednesday, and despite those clouds, Yeah, it's still looking to be pretty hot. Check out these overnight lows too. 80 tomorrow night, 77 Wednesday night. So no real relief from the heat either those 2 days, but relief from the heat comes in the form of some scattered storms Thursday and Friday. On top of that, they help bring our temperatures back down, upper 80s, lower 90s, maybe a few more scattered storms on Sunday. And of course, that helps our lows drop back to a much more comfortable level, back into the lower to mid 60s. That's Check Your Forecast. We'll be back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Interiors, Pella, simply beautiful.
Nominate your Fort State hero today.
Welcome back. Lori Horton is joining us this morning, and I'm super excited about this recipe. I love the flavor of strawberry, and we're making a strawberry crunch cake. Yum.
Yes, so it's summer. Strawberries perfect. We've got to make use of those while they really are. And if anybody is as big a fan as I am of the strawberry crunch ice cream bars, this is what we're going for. So it's very simple. Again, I always like to make this so you guys can do this family friendly. So you can get fancier with it and start from scratch, but we're gonna make it simple for you. So I started out with a French vanilla cake mix, just a regular old cake mix, and that's already in my bowl with some eggs. And then we added, for that really good strawberry flavor, some strawberry jello. And it's just a normal size box, just that little 3-ounce box. To that, I'm gonna add a half a cup of milk and some melted butter. And you wanna make sure that it is good and melted, not softened. So
we're just using the mix. We're not following any of the
not following
ingredient instructions.
any directions on the box.
Except for yours.
Except for these, yes. Don't do this in addition to what's on the box. That will be a mess. So we're gonna get that a little bit incorporated, and then we're just gonna mix that all together.
Okay.
And this is pretty basic.
And I love it. You have your rechargeable mixer here. So
we're high tech.
Worry about
if nothing
plugging
else,
anything in,
you know? USB mixer. Who'd have thought this is where we're at, you know? My grandma would be so proud, so confused. So this is a simple one. You don't need to get out the big heavy duty mixer, anything like that. You could even do this by hand with a spatula. Not a big deal. This is not a real thick batter. It's just a very normal cake batter. But I'll have you grab that rubber spatula and just kind of scrape that down really well and make sure we've got all those little dry bits in the bottom incorporated. And while you do that, I'm going to give my pan just a really light spray, because we always like that to come out of the pan real easy.
Yes.
And you can use any type of a baking dish. This is actually a little bit smaller than a 9 by 13. It's like 9 by 11. So it comes out just a little bit thicker.
Gives you a little deep dish.
Yeah, I'll steal that from you for just a sec, and then we're just gonna pour this right into our pan.
All right.
And then we're gonna bake it at 350 degrees for about 25 to 30 minutes. It's more like 30 minutes, especially right now. It's so humid, that really makes a difference on your baking, that difference in the heavy air. And so just kind of be prepared. I always like to set it for a lower time and then check it with that toothpick, and you can always add a little more to it.
So you didn't put any eggs in here?
The eggs were already in the bowl.
Oh, okay. I was about to start licking the bowl.
I've learned my lesson. No, don't. I've learned my lesson on cracking eggs on air. Fool me once, you know?
Okay.
So we're gonna get that nice and spread out. This is gonna go in that oven at 350 degrees. We'll set it for 25. We'll check it with the toothpick, probably about 5 more minutes right now. And then once it comes out, it's gonna be a little bit golden on top, and it's gonna be a little lumpy bumpy. This is not like a pretty decorated cake. This is a really good rich cake.
But we're gonna add more to it.
But we're gonna add more to it. This is only the first step.
All right, well, stick around with us on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 when we finish our strawberry crunch cake. We'll be right back.
Don't miss 3-time platinum lives.
Topping Health Watch this morning: when children get concussions, it may not lead to long-term effects on their IQ. That's according to a new study in the journal Pediatrics. Children who suffered a head injury were tested in the days after visiting an emergency room, and researchers found no differences in IQ scores several weeks to months afterwards when compared to kids without concussions. They say more research is needed on concussion patients who do not get medical treatment. A nationwide study published in the JAMA Network finds highly segregated neighborhoods are associated with a significantly lower life expectancy. Researchers say life expectancy is 4 years shorter in those neighborhoods, and it helps show how racial segregation can drive overall racial inequities. And at the International Alzheimer's Congress, researchers present new guidelines for diagnosing the disease using a test of blood biomarkers similar to what's done to determine whether a person has diabetes or cardiovascular disease. Recent research shows new blood tests are effective in confirming whether cognitive symptoms are in fact the early stages of Alzheimer's. In the past, diagnosis has required an invasive analysis of spinal fluid or expensive brain scans. Researchers say timely diagnoses of Alzheimer's can lead to better treatment for patients. Millions of Americans use an herbal supplement called Kratom, and many of them swear by what's become a billion-dollar industry in this country. But Kratom products are also controversial, marketed as something of a wonder drug, but banned as U.S. imports by the FDA since 2014. And blamed by critics for everything from addiction to death. Mark Strassman reports.
Ethan Pope was 23, healthy, adventurous, but dead 6 months after this video was shot.
I think both of us wanted to just crawl under a rock, not talk to anybody.
It's a hole in your heart.
Oh, it's a hole
goes
in your
away.
heart, yeah, for sure. Still.
John and Dana Pope, Ethan's parents.
What did the toxicology report say?
It said he tried kratom toxicity.
I don't even know what kratom is.
No idea what it was, no idea he was taking anything.
Kratom is an herbal supplement extracted from the leaf of a Southeast Asian tree. Many places sell kratom, even gas stations. Consumers use them for an energy boost or to treat pain, anxiety, or for drug withdrawal. But pharmacologists worry about its opiate-like effects. The FDA has found that kratom poses risks of addiction, abuse, and dependence.
The moment someone says we have a wonder drug is the moment I know they're lying.
Atlanta lawyers Matt Wetherington and Drew Ashby represent Ethan Pope's family. Ethan's official cause of death, cardiac arrest due to metrangina or kratom intoxication. The Pope's wrongful death suit targets a web of kratom companies and their owners, alleging a deadly product that's insidiously addictive.
This entire industry is based off hiding who they are, what they're making, what they're selling, and what you're taking. Period.
The American Kratom Association, the industry's consumer advocacy group, declined comment on the Pope case as pending litigation. And in a statement to us, the AKA said it advocates for regulations on kratom products so they're manufactured using good manufacturing practices. In the past, the AKA has attacked the FDA for what it calls bad science and its war on kratom. But a half dozen states have banned kratom products, along with cities like San Diego, Denver, and Columbus.
At a minimum, should it be regulated?
Absolutely. I mean, there's no question. No warning about interactions, no warning about the addictiveness, no warning about the health consequences.
What they do is they take the most potent and toxic portions of that plant and they concentrate them until you get something that is incredibly potent and potentially lethal.
In the apartment where Ethan Pope died, his family found a note he had written. Get off kratom.
It's not just an herb you can buy at the gas station that gives you energy. It absolutely can kill you.
Mark Strassman, CBS News.
The American Kratom Association has worked with 11 states to create a Kratom Consumer Protection Act. Its provisions include proper labeling and restricting sales to minors. But it should be noted the FDA has found no evidence that kratom has any therapeutic benefit. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
And we've got ourselves a warm and muggy start across the 4 states as the sun begins to rise. We've got scattered thunderstorm chances as we head into the afternoon and evening as well. We'll take another full look at your forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns.
Right now at 6:30, an early Sunday morning blaze burns a commercial building in Bentonville, Arkansas.
We've got a warm and muggy start across the 4 states today. We also have scattered thunderstorm chances as we head into the afternoon. We'll take a look at that forecast coming up.
And medical students at the Kansas City University in Joplin take their first steps down the path of becoming doctors as they celebrate a white coating ceremony.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's now 6:30. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. So you may have noted that it is a bit on the warm and muggy side out there this morning, and that is just a preview of some hotter weather that is on the way across the area. We also have some scattered thunderstorm chances as we head into the afternoon. So here we are at noon. You can see a couple of them out there, and then we go later into the afternoon and we see more of them out there by 2 o'clock. Now some of these storms could be on the strong side with some gusty winds. The good news is, as of right now, we're not anticipating any significant or widespread severe weather, but some gusty winds will be possible with these storms as we head into the afternoon. By 3, it's lining up just to the west of the I-49 corridor and right along I-44. And by 4 o'clock, it's now south of I-44 and east of I-49, but that's all right. It sets the stage for additional scattered thunderstorms as we head into the evening. Then we see a little bit of a lull across the area with a few stray showers in our northern counties by 8. And then we go later into the evening, we'll see a few more scattered thunderstorms across the area, and these should be out of here by about 2-3 o'clock in the morning, leaving us partly cloudy for the rest of our overnight hours. MoDOT camera 20th and range line. The sun is shining out there, and you can see that from the KDOT camera at 69 and East 520th Avenue, just south of Pittsburgh. And we can see that sunrise on our camera at 7th and range line. Got a few clouds out there, not a bad start, just warm and muggy. 75. Dew point is up there at 68, humidity at 79%, so that does make it feel a little bit uncomfortable. We've got warm temperatures for the most part. You can see it's kind of a warm swath right here across the heart of the area. We've got 74s, Fort Scott, Pittsburgh, Lamar, and Carthage, as well as Chanute, Chetopa, Miami. 73 in Parsons, Neodesha, 70 in Iola, 71 Neosho, and 70 in Monette. As we get our morning started, we will be partly cloudy. We will be warm as we go into the mid-80s by late morning, and as we head into the afternoon, we'll be partly to mostly cloudy. We'll have the variable clouds, scattered thunderstorms. If you get under one of those storms, you'll experience a very nice but very brief temperature drop. Otherwise, today, highs in the low to mid-90s. We still have some very hot temperatures on the way, and we've got more storm chances out there as well. We'll take a look at the full forecast here in a few more minutes. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. Authorities respond to an early Sunday morning fire in Bentonville, Arkansas. Reports of the commercial fire came in to the Bentonville Fire Department around 6 a.m. Sunday morning. The commercial building is home to numerous small businesses, including a salon and spa, counseling services, and others. A city spokesperson says the fire was in the attic on arrival. No occupants or firefighters were injured. Professional soccer will soon take the field in Northwest Arkansas. The United Soccer League announces it plans to bring professional men's and women's soccer clubs to Northwest Arkansas as the region's first professional teams. The partnership plans to build a 5,000-plus seat multi-purpose stadium nestled in the heart of the Pinnacle Hills Entertainment District in Rogers, Arkansas. USL Arkansas's goal is to begin play in the USL Championship prior to the 2026 FIFA World Cup, which kicks off in the United States, and in the fall that same year for the USL Super League. The teams have not been named yet. Good news for some drivers on West 32nd Street in Joplin. City of Joplin anticipates opening a new section of West 32nd from Crane Drive west to the vicinity of Woodland Avenue. This section in the Cedar Ridge neighborhood will be open to local traffic tentatively July 24th. The project began more than 2 years ago, initially closing West 32nd from Schifferdecker to Iron Gates Road. The hope is the entire project will be completed by the end of the year. Kansas City University had its annual white coating ceremony at Joplin High Performing Arts Center for students who will begin at KCU this year. The white coating ceremony is their first step to becoming a doctor, and students all across the world will be attending KCU, as well as students from right here in the 4 states.
Man, I mean, I have pictures. My parents have pictures from like Christmas as like an 8-year-old with me in like a little white coat and a stethoscope with a little heart on it. So like almost for as long as I can remember.
Brooklyn and her fellow students will graduate in 2027. VA Clinic in Joplin hosts a PACT Act outreach event to raise awareness for veterans to apply for benefits that have been created due to the act. The PACT Act creates benefits for veterans involved in the Vietnam, Gulf, and Afghanistan wars. Those who have been affected medically by toxic chemicals used in these wars can sign up and apply to be screened.
It is so important. VA is working very hard to get the word out. These are benefits that veterans have earned and deserve. They have taken care of our country, and it's our turn to take care of them. We are doing outreach all over Northwest Arkansas and Missouri and Oklahoma to try to let veterans know, their families know, caregivers and survivors about the benefits that they have earned.
The deadline to apply to receive full benefits is August 9th. You can call your local VA clinic to receive more information. Well, Southeast Kansas Humane Society puts on a fun day of tie-dye. Those who wish to participate donated $5 to receive a bandana they could tie-dye for that special dog in their life. For those interested in more events happening at the Humane Society, be sure to follow them on Facebook and check out their website. Well, this morning we're discussing extreme weather, but mostly the extreme heat.
Yeah, severe weather continues to plague the U.S. today. Flood conditions are pushing further northeast, including through New Hampshire and Vermont, where some areas are still reeling from earlier storms. Meanwhile, several are dead after weekend floods just north of Philadelphia.
In the north, tens of millions of Americans face air quality alerts, and they're due to ongoing wildfires in Canada that officials say claimed the life of a firefighter over the weekend. Extreme heat is the concern in much of the west and south. Experts say the U.S. could have more than 100 new temperature records set by the end of today.
That brings us to our question for you this morning. How are you staying safe this summer? So you are out there voting. 64% of you, though, doing like I said earlier, what I'm doing. You're doing your best to stay indoors. 12% of you say you're hydrating. Another 12% of you say you're doing something not on our list. And another 12% of you say that you are doing some of the things on our list. So make sure that you take time to vote through our website, through our app, and take part in the discussion on our Facebook page.
Well, you said you were doing your best to stay indoors. I think it's important to stay indoors, but not all the time. Because then if you are forced to be out in the heat, you're not acclimated to it at all, and your body just completely shuts down.
I don't want to be acclimated to it. I want to be acclimated to the comfort of my couch and the air conditioning.
So just kind of treat yourself a little bit here and there, you know.
Step out and get the mail. That's enough exposure for the day to go
See
out
what
and
you
get
can
the mail.
handle.
Walk to the car. Put the trash in the trash bin.
And hydrate.
And hydrate while you're doing so.
And wear sunblock, for sure. All right, that's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News, the motivation behind a global green movement.
Choosing to go green. I'm Cristian Benavides with how July became the month to be plastic free.
Plus, we've got a warm and muggy start today. Showers and thunderstorms possible later today. We'll take a look at that forecast when we come back.
Buy online, reserve from select dealers, or visit your local Honda dealer today.
In Consumer Watch this morning, AAA says it will not renew home and auto insurance policies for some customers in Florida, saying natural disasters like hurricanes have made the risk too costly. In the last year, multiple big insurers have backed away from doing business in that state. Floridians already pay about 3 times more for home insurance than the national average, and rates are expected to rise another 40% this year. Well, a strike by UPS workers could be one of the costliest in U.S. history. That's according to a study from Anderson Economic Group that found a 10-day work stoppage would have a $7 billion impact. That includes $4 billion in losses by customers. The Teamsters are demanding pay increases, especially for part-time workers, and they've promised to strike if they cannot reach an agreement with UPS by the end of the month. David's bridal stores will stay open for business thanks to a no-cash bankruptcy sale. A new owner will take over the wedding gown retailer, avoiding the shutdown of most of its nearly 200 bridal shops. The company filed for bankruptcy in April, blaming high inflation and decreased demand. About a quarter of U.S. brides get their gowns at David's Bridal. Well, plastic pollution is harmful everywhere, from local roadways to the world's oceans, but changing our habits as consumers can make a difference. Christian Benavides shows us how to be part of the solution this plastic-free July.
At Verde Market in South Florida, it's BYOC. Bring your own container.
The idea is that you can refill and reuse as many times as possible.
Pamela Barrera is co-owner of this plastic-free refillery, started with her business partner after realizing just how much plastic they were wasting.
We were saying to ourselves, what are we going to do with all this? Are we going to throw it away? Why don't we just reuse them, refill them?
According to the 2023 Plastic Waste Makers Index, there is more single-use plastic waste than ever before, with an additional 6 million metric tons generated in 2021 compared to 2019.
We all want to live in a clean environment.
Rebecca Prince Ruiz is the founder of Plastic Free July. It began in 2011 with just 40 people going plastic-free for a month. It's now a worldwide initiative.
Last year, 140 million people from 190 countries around the world took part, and together we avoided 2.6 billion kilos of waste.
The plastic problem can seem overwhelming, but there are small steps we can all take to reduce our use each day. That can include skipping the straw or bringing your own shopping bags, cups, or water bottles.
It's not a few people being perfect, it's lots of people making small changes.
Those small changes can transform habits, one at a time, this July and after. Cristian Benavides, CBS News, Fort Lauderdale.
Well, if you want to make a change, advocates recommend you carry a reusable bag everywhere, incorporate reusable cutlery, and join a cleanup effort in your community. That's it for Consumer Watch. Here's Chris with another look at your forecast.
Well, as mentioned, we've got a warm and muggy start across the 4 states today. That is ahead of some scattered thunderstorm chances and some much hotter temperatures on the way. We will take another complete look at your forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. And we've also got our daily celebration of birthdays and anniversaries just around the corner. But first, why don't we go ahead and take a trip up to New York City, and we're going to see what these folks are getting ready to do on CBS Mornings.
I'm Nate Burleson. Coming up and only on CBS Mornings, I go one-on-one with two-time Super Bowl champ and MVP Patrick Mahomes. We'll talk about the upcoming season and his new Netflix docuseries Quarterback. That's coming up on CBS Mornings.
Windows and more, where we're still the area's number.
Cab LT Turbo Max pickups, or get $5,750 total value when you trade in an eligible vehicle. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
All right, we're going to begin our birthday list on this Monday with Avery Soderman in Pittsburgh, celebrating number 11. Happy birthday, Avery.
And Luke Kennedy turning 11 years old in Goodman, Missouri.
And we've got Cash Williams celebrating number 13 with birthday love coming from Mom, Dad, and Jace.
Ryan Loffmiller celebrating birthday number 47 this year in Pittsburgh with love from Mom and Dad.
And Brad Almond in Chanute celebrating number 47 as well. Happy birthday, Brad.
Mike Omi turning the big 6-0 this year. Mike is celebrating in Pittsburgh.
And over in Jasper, we've got Larry Storm celebrating number 65. Happy birthday, Larry.
And in Columbus, turning 76 this year and looking great, Miss Vivian Birch-Frost.
And also in Columbus, we are going to be celebrating Bonnie Freeman turning 81. A very happy birthday to you, Bonnie.
And Mr. Glenn Schomber turning 91 years old this year up in Mound Valley, Kansas. This pic is a little throwback to his Army days in Alaska.
And our list goes on with Pepper Martin celebrating birthday number 91 in Columbus. Happy birthday, Pepper.
Ted and Linda Garrison celebrating in Columbus, a grand anniversary for them.
And Jane Martin celebrating number 82 in Parsons. Happy birthday, Jane. We love celebrating with you, and we love pictures of your birthdays and anniversaries. Tanya, where do folks need to send those to?
All they have to do is send us an email, just to this one email. Send us all your birthday or anniversary information and include the picture too, to birthdays with an S at KOAMnewsnow.com.
And of course, while you're on our website, make sure you take time to sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club. It is easy to do. You get great deals from local businesses. More importantly, you get a special birthday message from your friends here at KOAM. So head over to KOAMnewsnow.com and sign up for that birthday club today. All right, let's take a look down the road because we've got those scattered thunderstorm chances in our forecast as we head into the afternoon. In fact, why don't we stop at noon, and there you can see in our northern counties at least a couple of pop-up thunderstorms. We'll see more of them, though, as the afternoon progresses. This batch coming out of north central Kansas. Some of these could be on the strong side with some gusty winds, but the good news is so far we're not looking at any kind of severe weather or anything like that. Just some gusty winds with some of these storms as they push off to the south and east this afternoon. By 3, they're along and west of I-49 and just to the north of I-44. By 4, they are now east of 49, south of 44. And then we'll see additional development taking place as we head later into the evening. Then there's this brief pause around 8 o'clock or so with a few stray showers. And then we'll see additional thunderstorm development as we head later into the evening and into the early overnight hours. So say by about 2, 3 a.m., the last of these showers and storms are out of here, and that'll leave us partly cloudy overnight, prepping for a very hot day in the 4 states tomorrow. MoDOT camera 20th and range line. It is sunny out there and sunny and warm from the KDOT camera at 69 and East 520th Avenue just south of Pittsburgh. Here comes the sun from our camera at 7th and range line. We are warm and muggy though, 75 in Joplin. At dew point at 68, humidity is at 79%. And temperatures around the region, you can see the darker orangish color here. It's a bit of a warm spot. We got 74 Chanute, Fort Scott, Lamar, Carthage, Chatopa, Miami, 73 Pittsburgh and Parsons, 71 Neosho, Anderson, and 70 over in Monette. Now, as we get our morning started, again, we'll have those partly cloudy skies to get going. We'll go into the mid-80s by late morning. Then as we head into the afternoon, it's going to be variable cloud cover from partly to mostly cloudy. And then, of course, we'll have those scattered thunderstorms. Highs today approximately the low to mid-90s. However, if you happen to get underneath one of those thunderstorms per se, well, you could see a very nice, however brief, temperature drop before temperatures will warm back up on the flip side of all of that. And we start to see additional scattered thunderstorm chances as we head through the evening hours. And again, those will wrap up by the early overnight hours, again by about 2, 3 a.m., leaving us otherwise partly cloudy back into the lower 70s. And then we look ahead. We don't want to, but we have to. We're going to go triple digits Tuesday, Wednesday, partly cloudy Tuesday, mostly cloudy Wednesday. Check out these lows. No relief from the heat either as we go 80 tomorrow night, 77 Wednesday night. Then the relief arrives. Thursday, Friday, we'll see a few more scattered thunderstorm chances out there. That knocks our temperatures down into the upper 80s, lower 90s, puts our overnight lows back into a much more reasonable place as well as we go into the low to mid 60s. However, this is short-lived, just like the last little break we got. We'll start to warm up. The Saturday, not bad, upper 80s, partly cloudy. A few scattered storms for us on Sunday, low 90s. Going into next week, we are partly cloudy. We get hot again, temperatures warming back into the upper 90s. And of course, the overnight lows start to warm up again as well. That's a check of your forecast. We'll be back with the news you need to know right after this.
In July, give your family the gift of true comfort.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Authorities received reports of a commercial fire in Bentonville, Arkansas around 6 a.m. Sunday morning. The commercial building is home to numerous small businesses, including a salon and spa, counseling services, and others. A city spokesperson says the fire was in the attic on arrival. No occupants or firefighters were injured. City of Joplin anticipates opening a new section of West 32nd from Crane Drive west to the vicinity of Woodland Avenue. This section in the Cedar Ridge neighborhood will be open to local traffic tentatively July 24th. The hope is the entire project will be completed by the end of the year. And the VA clinic in Joplin hosts a PACT Act outreach event to raise awareness for veterans to apply for benefits that have been created due to the act. The PACT Act creates benefits for veterans involved in the Vietnam, Gulf, and Afghanistan wars. Those who have been affected medically by toxic chemicals used in these wars can sign up and apply for screening. Kansas City University holds its annual white coating ceremony at Joplin High Performing Arts Center. For students who will begin at KCU this year, the white coating ceremony is the first step to becoming a doctor. The students all across the world will be attending KCU, as well as students from right here in the 4 states. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Well, we've got ourselves a warm one. Temperatures low to mid-90s, partly to mostly cloudy skies, and scattered thunderstorms into the afternoon. A couple of those could be on the strong side with some gusty winds, but we're not anticipating any widespread or significant severe weather. Scattered thunderstorms hold on through the evening into the early overnight hours. We'll go partly cloudy after about 3 a.m. and into the low 70s. Triple digits return, though, as we head into our Tuesday and Wednesday, unfortunately. And then we'll get more scattered storms Thursday, Friday, and Sunday, and that brings our temperatures down a bit back into the upper 80s and lower 90s.
Well, coming up today at noon, we're making firecracker barbecue pork in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
And your morning news continues on KOAM with CBS Mornings. Actor turned author Ben McKenzie is a leading cryptocurrency skeptic. Coming up on CBS Mornings, he discusses his new book and why he says the industry is a scam.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. And this morning, Lori Horton returns to put the finishing touches on her strawberry crunch cake. You don't want to miss that.
You certainly do not. Plus, the Friends of Fort Scott National Historic Site and National Park Service at the studio tell us all about an upcoming event that brings 400 years of Osage history to life. That's going to wrap it up for us for now. We will see you back here tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.
And we're going to do it again today at noon.